In June of 2018, Jordan Peterson launched a defamation lawsuit against Wilfred Lauirier University for $1.5 million. This lawsuit came on the heels of a suit from former Wilfred Lauirier University student Lindsay Shepard. In that suit, she claims an encounter she had with her supervisor left her unemployable in academia and left some lasting emotional distress after she was reprimanded for showing a Peterson-related video in one of the classes she was a teacher's assistant for. We don't need to guess about the timing of these two lawsuits here. Peterson actually describes his lawsuit like this.
I decided that Wilfred Lauirier had learned very little from its public embarrassment and that Shepard's claims were valid, justifiable, and necessary, including her statement that her future lack of employability in academia was improbable, to say the least. I also decided to launch a claim of my own against the same defendants. I thought that 2 lawsuits might make the point better than 1.
So Peterson's suit is being filed not strictly because he's an offended party, but in support of the Shepard suit. The message he's trying to deliver is quite clear, that the faculty of Wilfred Lauirier University, and presumably all university faculties across Canada, better watch what they say about him in the future. Many commenters have noted the obvious hypocrisy here. Peterson's claim to fame involved sounding the alarm about a shadowy group of social Marxists trying to control his language with Canadian Bill C-16, which added trans people to the list of groups who were protected by hate speech laws. But now Peterson is the one trying to control the language of others. Or more specifically, he's trying to control the ideas they're allowed to express behind closed doors. The hypocrisy is a fair point, but there's a deeper point here about how the legal system is being used as a tool by a wealthy individual to create a chilling effect, more commonly known as libel chill. Although, obviously, in this case, it's defamation, not libel. First, I want to just make sure we're looking at the Peterson suit and the Shepard suit differently. While I don't agree with either, I think there's a clear difference between a student who believes her university's faculty mistreated her, wrong as she may be, and a professor from a different school not liking the way he's being spoken about by the same faculty in private. What we have here is a clear case of the law being used to silence criticism. It uses the legal system as a weapon and creates a chilling effect that will make any other person in a Canadian university faculty, perhaps more broadly even, think twice before they criticize Peterson in private in front of one of his followers. For a broader look at how libel chill works, I want to talk about an incident that happened in March of 2016 when pro wrestler Hulk Hogan won a lawsuit against the media outlet Gawker for a staggering $140 million in damages after the media outlet published a sex tape he was featured in. For the sake of your eyes, I won't put the footage from the sex tape on screen. From what I've been told, the Hulkster has sex the same way he wrestles. He has 3 moves and never goes longer than 5 minutes. The $140 million won by Hogan was later reduced to $31 million in a settlement in November of the same year, but the damage had been done and Gawker was no more. While Gawker has traipsed in controversy in the past with a series of questionable articles, to say the least, it wasn't really the Hulk Hogan sex tape that brought them down. It was a different article that outed PayPal co-founder Peter Thiel as being secretly gay. While Hulk Hogan is an American hero for daring to headbutt the flag of the Soviet Union, he didn't bankroll his lawsuit against Gawker. It was Thiel who paid roughly $10 million for the suit, all part of a large operation he had been funding to find ways to take the media organization down. Publishing an article about someone being secretly gay, while obviously a dick move, isn't actually illegal. In fact, being a public figure like Thiel means it's much harder to sue someone for what they print, either online or in print. It's part of the framework of what protects the press, a vital aspect of free expression. What Thiel did was bypass Gawker's free expression and use the legal system to silence them forever. The effect not only ends his vendetta, it also sends a clear signal to other media outlets. If they find anything salacious about him, maybe this time nothing to do with his sexual life, but perhaps some kind of shady business dealings, Thiel may deploy his considerable means within the legal system to exact vengeance. This is obviously an extreme example, as we're talking about much higher dollar amounts at play here than in the Peterson case, but keep in mind Thiel is a much wealthier man than Peterson. The difference here is in scale more so than intent. And Peterson is making a statement that he is willing to put up his money to silence criticism of him done in private. What's perhaps more disturbing about the Peterson case is that he's suing a university and not a media outlet. This isn't an article that was published somewhere. It was a private conversation in which two of the participants had no reason to believe would be made public. How could they have possibly known that Shepard was secretly recording them? And would Shepard's account have been so widely disseminated had it not been for that recording? It'll be interesting to see how this lawsuit is resolved. Peterson has been badmouthing academia since the beginning of his rise to internet fame. Here are a few comments he made in a 2016 interview. "It might be that the university is already dying. It wouldn't surprise me. I mean, I think huge swaths of the university are irrevocably corrupted. Sociology, gone. Anthropology, gone. History, big chunks of it are gone. The classics, literature, social work, political science in many places, and that doesn't cover women's studies, ethnic studies. They probably started lost, and it's gotten far worse. I believe now, with the exception of the science, technology, engineering, mathematics branch, that universities do more harm than good. I think they produced indentured servants in the United States because tuition fees have gone up so much and you can't declare bankruptcy on your student loans. We're teaching university students lies and pandering to them, and I see that as counterproductive." That's a god-awful impression. Sorry about that. We also can't forget Peterson's project to catalog the courses he considered indoctrination cult classes in 2017. He only pulled back on that initiative after he cited some negative responses from his Twitter followers. But it demonstrates how poorly Peterson thinks of certain branches of academia, and how he sees himself, or rather his philosophy, if you can call it that, as the antidote. Peterson has also circulated a petition to try and take tax funding away from universities. As of recording, it's sitting at 1,484 signatures, so I don't think that'll work. There's also his recent video for Dennis Prager's fake university, which wasn't too kind to the academics instructing young minds.
They are indoctrinating young minds throughout the West with their resentment-ridden ideology. They have made it their life's mission to undermine Western civilization itself, which they regard as corrupt, oppressive, and patriarchal.
He presents the world of academia as some kind of Soviet nightmare where kids have cultural Marxism drilled into their minds. Plenty of videos have drilled into this particular effluvia already, so check those out for more information. Jordan Peterson is the academic who undermines academia, much in the way Larry Elder is celebrated as a black man who undermines black activism, Blair White as a trans woman who undermines trans activism, and Christina Hoff Sommers as a woman who undermines modern feminism. None of these people are advancing anything particularly new or interesting, but rather standing up for the status quo while denying any of the criticisms of discrimination or bigotry faced by the groups they identify with. Many of the points they make are often heard from conservative commentators who don't belong to their identity groups.
Now we have the totalitarian left in America, and if you don't see it their way, you're attacked and demonized. And if you're a student, you can be punished through the grading system. This cannot continue. Academic freedom is one thing. Harming students with insane ideology is quite something else.
That there is such a thing as indoctrination at the university. You get in there and you're given courses on, you're given seminars, I should say, on how racist you are, or on how to avoid sexual harassment.
The universities were largely infiltrated by a lot of folks on the New Left. The establishment at those universities decided not to challenge the student body when the student body kind of rose up in the 1960s. And a lot of the very bad ideas that had started earlier in the 1930s and 40s ended up taking over the universities in the 1960s.
In other words, it's a noxious corruption of identity politics where someone's gender, race, or in Peterson's case, career, are used to give their claims more credibility, when in fact all their claims are simple conservative talking points that we've been hearing for years, but we're supposed to believe they're more credible because in this case the person's identity makes them look like an insider. This all illustrates a man who is at war with the very institution that he uses as currency for his credibility. He is the university professor who was valued for his consistent criticism of the university system and used conservative talking points that we've been hearing for years. This, I believe, is the key to his fame, and why so many conservative thinkers, talkers, and speakers have all latched on to him. This lawsuit Peterson filed isn't about making money, but instead about making a point. And it's a simple one. Faculty at Canadian universities are on notice. They better watch what they say about Jordan Peterson. As he gets wealthier, it makes me wonder what he's going to start using that money for, and what other voices he might try to silence. Expression is never free when someone uses their wealth to make you pay a price.